her intervention was really simple and interesting. Here, some physicians are present today, and the topics were really complex, but she managed to make them simple for the audience, made by students. And I myself understood that physics is not so difficult, and it is more close to the essential questions of life more than it seems. And some questions from the students were addressed in this direction. Coming back to my presentation, on the other hand, the pride and the satisfaction don't prevent me to be worried about the general conditions of our country and of our higher education system. The results by AlmaLaurea will be soon presented, and I don't want to give them in advance, but I want to say that I want to say something about the general framework. The framework is unemployment amount to 60% in 5 years, and the unemployment high specialization professions, and of course those looked by students, by graduates. In Italy, this rate is less by 10% with respect to the European average, and 8% less with respect to United Kingdom. If we change our point of view and we look at the rate of scholarization, of schooling, the situation is worse. The total of the employed as managers, just 15% was graduate. In Germany was 44%, while 48% was just high school graduated, and 37% just did middle school. In Germany, just 7% of managers was in this condition. So these figures are really significant. They tell us about a management team which is quite not so schooled. This management team lack of strategic resource in order to face the current crisis, but also of a dynamic society and a changing society. They are little and middle managers able to be linked to the productive tradition required by a more and more globalized economy. These data tell us about a management team which is not yet inclined to prize persons who are more qualified in hiring them or in awarding them. The average compensation of a graduate, 3 years or 5 years, in a year after the graduation, amounts to €1,000 per month. These data tell us about a workforce which is qualified, but which don't manage to reach the management field, and which work in some different fields with respect to which they studied. It means that the so-called investments for education, with these results, they are not investments, but they are just an expenditure for the country. And so a certain part of politics is right when they consider that education is not one of the first priority of our country. I appreciated that for the first time a minister, Enrico Letta, told that if other cuts were made for education and culture, he would stop to be minister. I would have expected that he told that he would do that just if the investments did increase, because if we keep cutting, we cannot go in any direction. It is more easy to close everything about culture and pave the way to some scale economy. In this sense, all of that it took us to some unsatisfaction, and people think that the graduation is useless, and it translates in a decrease by 17.5% of enrollment in the last 9 years. I don't want to give right to the print, to the press, because the data of enrollment are not everything. So the sense of the message is not just about the enrollment. And we have to give importance also to the area of education. But I think that the data are worrying, and they are linked to an economic element.
When university was like a parking, because the costs were not really high, so when people did not know what to do, they enrolled to university, so they did not pass from a student to unemployed. So it's like professors that can work 2 years more. Well, at the same time you were a student and you were in some ways occupied. But when costs started to increase and education and universities costs increased, because universities had to do so, well, things changed. You know, there is a parking here around the universities. When it was free, before, it was full of cars. You couldn't find a place. But when the parking started to be paid for, so there is a charge for parking. Well, everything is different now. It's more organized and clean, and you have to pay. Now we also found some agreements, because people didn't want to pay. Italians, they want everything for free. But when you charge for something, when you ask for a contribution, well, when you ask for these, everything changes. and it's also really difficult to find an agreement. And the solution was that, well, if you pay, everything changes. And in Italy, we don't have that idea. We need to start to cooperate economically if we want to give to this country a social and liberal image. But this makes us even more far from the objectives. I'd like to welcome now Valentina Prea, who just came in. In the strategy Europe to 2020, the 40% of European citizens should be graduated, and the university is not attractive and cannot insert into the public debate. The university risks to lose state finance and also its prestige and the sense of its mission and the value of its function. So for these reasons, I'd like to conclude welcoming you to our universities. I wish that today's conference, which is supported from the Minister of Education and the Conference of Deans of Italian Universities and Assessment Agency and the province and region of Lombardy and Milan. I hope this can be a moment for reflection. We even have some foreign guests, and we will be able to talk about our university system. Maybe it is not possible to end the gap, but it is possible to be present in European meetings, but it's not. But it is important to make understand inside and outside that Nobel winners are the results are people who followed a high professional course, schools, not the new ones, where everything has been changed but it's still the same. I'm talking about real schools where teaching and learning is made through a dialogue, and it helped everyone to create a better path. AlmaLaurea gave us precious tool that can make us understand what tools we need. Thank you.
Grazie.
Thank you. I welcome you in the region of Lombardy. Thank you for the friends of the consortium AlmaLaurea. I'm sorry if I came with some minutes of delay, but in time for my intervention, when you have the first important meeting like this out of the seat, one should not pass by the seat. We are here, and I'm honored that this meeting holds in Milan. This was always the occasion to talk about universitarian education, I thank the Professor Camelli that chose Milan because I consider it a present, a good hope for my activity, because I didn't lose and tried to go in depth and study the data that we were given, because this is a work, a job well done, and always more needed, especially in these times. And the fact that this year the relation is held in Milan with the profile graduated 2012, because it is a crucial time where this theme is central as one of the opportunities to overcome it. The organizers tried to give a documented response to the difficulty of the neo-graduated students that wonder whether it is worthy to go on with the study in this difficult situation. From the one side, it would seem that it discourages from acquiring high-level profile, but are needed investment in learning effectiveness. I'm sure that will enrich the route of the students of the secondary schools. I want to remember that Lombardy schools can underwrote the agreement that represent an occasion and an opportunity for school, and these are available to students. Region Lombardy, in collaboration with SN for Lombardy, I thank you, Director De Santis, who is attentive to all the aspects of the assessment. So I would like to thank him personally in this occasion. Lombardy wants to promote education through collecting trustworthy information, as Alma Diploma is doing in this year, because this is the first important point to understand what happened after the 13 years. University and colleges have at their disposal the information this allows to assess their action and to propose more. These data and documents are present in a significant way in colleges of the province of Varese, thanks to the commitment of the LUS of Varese to give school scientific tools in order to interpret at a quantitative and quality level the situation that can be compared with other courses. Besides, in Castellanza, LUIC is rooted, and it has the opportunity to establish cooperation with the colleges of this territory, and then University of Insubra, Iulm, San Raffaele are part of this network. So there is a strong rooting in our region, not only in Bologna or other Italian regions. This 20-year experience is the start of intermediation services between businesses and graduated, by strengthening the services offered by FIXO, to which many schools took part. The Progetto FIXO is a project of Lombardy in collaboration with the Ministry of Education to bridge the transition between the school and the job in order that there could be a stage experience for graduated. These schools that were part of the circuit of AlmaLaurea adhered more easily, and it was for us a source of good evaluation. They acquired a good score when they asked to enter the project of Fixo that were funded by state. We assessed positively so that this can encourage other school and also the payback of your commitment here in Lombardy. I want to start with the DeSantis a route of experimentation to other Lombard provinces in order to interpret the data of Alma Diploma. And with other tools can support the orientation towards the exit. I also deem as an important tool the platform, the cooperation platform. We had the goal for the next year, the fact that in all the colleges in Lombardy there would be offices or school networks for the orientation and placement. We want that also university will follow this dress and strengthened by the superior level and with a link with research and also the entrepreneurial world, because this is the only way to help our young people, our students. That should be
Grazie.
Thank you. First of all, good morning to all of you. Today, the data regarding our graduates are presented. And when we talk about research and presentation of research, the interest for us, we who deal with the studies of young people, of course, this interest increases. I have always told that, and I see here in the audience some people with who I had the pleasure to work. I've always told that the turning point for the success, both in study and in the work career, is correct guidance of our young people. And researchers can allow us to use data, to analyze data and to analyze the system. And this is our task and the objective of AlmaLaurea research, but of course, especially for Alma Diploma. Why? First of all, because it allows us to confirm, and please notice that it is not so simple sometimes, because many people sustain the contrary, to confirm the so-called commonplaces. The social class of the young people who chooses a certain school or university, and somebody says it is normal because there is a social mobility. Let's consider objective data on the perception of the service by the students. It means their satisfaction. How many of them would like to do the same educational path. It is interesting because there are some meaningful percentages. When we see that 50% of our students sustain that maybe they should have chosen in another way, it is really interesting because, of course, it has some results on the work. And then the expectations, students' expectations. They tell us their expectation. And then it's also important, I was listening to the regional council member, and I thank her. Of course, if there is a strong cooperation between the country and the region, of course, it is a good advantages for everybody. And here in the region Lombardy, this cooperation exists. And I was listening to talk about this FIXO project and the placement service, which means to guide our young people correctly, and it is not simple. All of these elements are linked. The crucial aspect is represented by the information about the access way to the world of work, to university, and on opportunities. And it is not simple, of course, because we do so many things. We have guidance skills on the didactic field, vital statistics, expectation analysis, but I can tell you that we work so much on this. And then about the internship, the traineeships, and the initiative by the region is really interesting, and we thank it for this investment. But the difficulty exists to be overcome. The difficulty is that we need to develop the skills regarding the analysis of the world of work, the techniques and the choices of the students, in order to better understand the university system and the work system. Often our young people don't know this system. They don't know how to enroll, how to manage interviews and so on. But at this point, it is strategic to better know our students' expectations. Today, the results by AlmaLaurea are presented. Together with Professor Cammelli, as representatives of our regional school system, we are trying, and we will manage to spread this project on results and expectations of Alma Diploma, not only in the province of Varese, where we almost reached 100% of all the schools, and we can see the results that are being presented yesterday, but we will manage to involve all the Lombardy schools. School and university are so linked, so connected, that if we manage to guide young people, they will manage to choose the correct university for their work. Have a good day. Thank you.
Forse.
The presentation that will be made on the survey that we just realized, I would like to add some consideration. There are many people following us on streaming that are following our presentation today. Yeah. There is also a translation because we have many foreign people following us, guests. I'd like to underline a couple of things because we have presented these data for 15 years in May. Why? Why May? Because May is the moment of the year where almost 400,000 families ask themselves how to help their daughters and sons to choose a university. What will their future be? This happens, and we can help families to make a choice. We also have to remember that this data that we are now presenting is about 2012 graduates. So we are presenting this data as soon as possible, because if you do that too late, it is not useful. So our respondents to our surveys counts for 100% of the graduates, which is really important, and the questionnaire they filled is filled by 92% of graduates, so it's not really a survey. And also the data is reliable. And also it is made every year, so we can compare each year. This is useful because our aims are not only guiding families and students, we will talk about that later, but also to improve universities, because universities they can ask if their courses are really working how they should. So these judgments do not make a difference between every course of degree, and this is really fundamental. We do not have to forget that, as we will see in a couple of minutes, there is a great attention to suggest a path. 75% of first-level graduates come from families where nobody ever graduates, nor the mom or the father. This percentage is even higher, up to 82%, when people enroll to universities. So even if in the family there is intelligence and ability, but they do not know how university works. In specialization, this percentage decreases, and this shows a difference during the time. It is really important, especially for the first enrollment at university. We have to remember that when we started through Alma Diploma, the situation of students ending their studies, and we did so for about 500 schools in Italy. When we asked them the question, would you do the same school you did? 45% of them answers no. This confirms that choices made after middle school are motivated from the family needs and not from the students themselves. And these are not choices that they reflected too much on. Also, after the first years at university, there is an abandon among 17 to 18% of enrolled students. So the dropout is quite important. But this percentage is different for each course. For example, 2–3% in medicine, and is really higher in other courses that the country needs. So these are basic data. It is important also to remember that today at university only 30% of 19 years old enroll. So the country is losing the potential of 70% of youngs. So our situation is really complicated. I remember ancient philosophers saying every man can have knowledge on something, but many youngs do not have the chance to access to universities. I'd like to conclude saying that even if what we read on newspapers saying that the graduate at university has not much value, but I want to remember that for 15 years we can prove that the graduate works even 15% more than a person with only a high school degree. There has been a great reduction on the payment of graduates, but anyway, they work more in our countries, even 14–15% more. So I think this is important to underline strongly. The last thing, before starting with the analysis of data, is, I can say proudly, the model we have been following for 15 years, which is now working perfectly, is admired not even at a European level, but also at an international and global level. At the end of July, we received our financing for projects that will make able us to create this project in Morocco, Tunisia, Armenia. And we always hope to be appreciated from our government. We will be also welcomed from the World Bank in Washington, which is very interested to use AlmaLaurea in developing countries. This is makes us really proud. It is a great acknowledgement. We will present our model in every United States enterprise which works in Italy. You know that we have 1,705,000 graduates that post and update their CV on our website, even in English. And this is reason to make us proud. Well, we've been working on these for 15 years. Thank you very much. I'll give the floor now to the presentation of the results. Thank you.
Buongiorno a tutti, grazie al...
Good morning, everyone. Thanks to the university and the dean that welcomed us so warmly. I will present some results that are linked to the topics that are listed on the slide. The other are included in the website of AlmaLaurea, and that the topics are also included in these relations. There is also a chapter about the presence of adults in the Italian university, and another chapter on the satisfaction for the city services on the university, about which I won't speak here. We will consider only a small part of results. Let's come to the features of the research populations that belong to the universities adhering to AlmaLaurea consortium. These are 64 and account for 3 graduated in Italian university out of 4. There is the University of Macerata that isn't part of the analysis results because it adhered to recently. So the results will consider 63 university. Also Roma Tor Vergata and Nacor entered. So we can see other figures that I won't take in consideration. These are the organizational units to which results refer, and about which we should ask online AlmaLaurea database. Every one of you could do it. The analysis is structured in 100 variable, changeable. The 2012 profile consider more than 200,000 of graduated. We can see the evolution over time of composition. It changed over time. We can see how the whole system graduated continued to have a considerable weight on the number of graduated, but this is a residual category. We are in line as regards the effects of the 3+2 system. As regards the study title of parents, we will refer to the old system graduated in 2004 that were considered the group that was considered belonging to the old system, and we considered in that group 72% of graduated and graduated parents. As regards the soul cycle graduation, this continues to express a certain social selection because their parents have high cultural origin. I skipped, we have 70 5% of new graduated having parents that are not graduated. This will recur now in the data. There is an heterogeneity as regards disciplines, the methods. We have some groups of graduation where social origins are humble with respect with the average. So, science of education, the health profession, and at the other end we have groups of matter where social origins are higher, engineering, scientific, and so on. There is a strong heterogeneity as regards the matter, the topic, but also as regards seat. Here we can see how not graduated parents account for 81% of the juridical group, but in some university less than 70%. In engineering group, where we have a strong heterogeneity inside the group, from 80% to less than 50%. The non-Italian, the foreign graduated. This will have implication also in the future. We can see how the incidence of foreign graduated redoubled over less than a decade. Their absolute number trebled. We can see how 70% got the graduation abroad. There is a strong consistency of those getting the graduation in Italy, the so-called second generation and so on. These accounts represented a challenge for the future. If we consider the location of this foreign graduation of the different groups, we can see an higher presence in the magisterial courses, and also in some matter group, linguistical at the first level, chemistry, and the unique cycle, engineering in the magisterial graduation, against medicine and odontology in 2004 in the whole system. As regards their nationality, they come from, as we said, from these countries. In Europe, 6 out of 10 graduated come from Europe, especially from Albania and Romania, where 1 out of 4 graduated is foreign. 1 out of 5 comes from China, that accounts for 8%, and 1 out of 9 from Cameroon and Maghreb countries. There is also, in this case, a strong heterogeneity. The last feature we consider in population is the place of origin where they got the graduation, high school degree. 50% of graduated got the graduation in the same province this reflects the capillarity of the university offer, but also poses problems because they continue to study near their houses. among the mobile people. These are graduated that move from the southern region to university in the south and north of Italy. We can see indicators of success in studies, the age of enrollment with respect to the ordinary age it is for the different graduation. There was an increase of more than 1%. And in the last decade there was a return. And also for new graduated that don't enroll immediately because of stopping here.
Legale del corso completato dai laureati.
Of the course of the graduates, of course, it has decreased in the course of the last decade. For the introduction of the 3-year degree, the delay to graduation, it means the number of years. So the delay in years for the attainment of graduation was quite high in 2002, but it decreased by 50% in the last decade. It is one of the most positive aspects of the 3+2 system. And then we have the age to graduation, which has strongly decreased. Here we have some composition effects, but the age has decreased despite the age of the enrollment has increased. Of course, in this case, we have to analyze these values for each type of graduation. We are talking about the total of graduates. Let's see now the incidence of regularity of the studies. Among the graduates pre-reform, just 15% was graduating in course. In 2012, we noted notable increase with 34% of the 5-year master's degree until 39% in first-level degrees. If we consider also people who graduated with just 1 year of delay, we can see that there have been a significant increase up to 60% in 2012, about 60%. Let's see now the historical trend for the total of graduates in course and out of course. There have been a constant and significant increase during the time. In 2012, we have a graduate out of 7 who concludes the studies with 4 or more years out of course. And I think it is quite significant, and it is a great problem despite the improvement. Also in this case, we can notice some differences for each disciplinary field. You can see for yourself in the slide the group which leads the ranking. We the last have 50 points of difference, so we can see a great heterogeneity among the groups. It refers to the first level graduates, as you can see. So to sum up, we can see in this slide the pre-reform graduates in 2004. They age to graduation, the delay in the enrollment, the age of the graduation considering the delay of the enrollment, and so the difference between the two data, and then the index of delay to graduation compared to the legal data. 0.65, it means that in last of 4 years, the duration is 6.7 years. So it is a significant delay. In 2012, all the figures are significantly improved, especially, for example, the age of graduation considering the delay, 25 years for specialist degrees, 26 for 5-year master's degrees. It seems a slight increase, but actually, if you consider also the current 5 to 6-year master's degree, the increase is significant. Another success in the study indicator within AlmaLaurea, some recent studies show that final grades don't reflect the skill set of the graduates. There is also a problem of marks style, and it is a problem because the final grades should be a sign, an indicator towards the employer, for example, of the the skill level of graduates. But actually, the style of marks changes if you consider the different disciplinary fields, and also among the different locations of the same course of study. And so you can see in the slide that there are some significant differences also in this field. And then we divided also the final grades in average mark of of the total of exams, and then the increase of the final grades. And also in this case, we can see some significant differences. 4.5 points in the legal system to 8.5 points in the medic and health professional fields. And these differences are due also to some different incentives to the different fields. And all these incentives have been analyzed by AlmaLaurea, and how all the different universities try to help graduates to graduate quickly. Let's talk about the attendance to courses. Among the pre-reform graduates in 2004, the amount of graduates who stated to have attended regularly at least 75% of classes were 55%. There has been a progression, a positive progression in this case. So we have about two-thirds of graduates who state to have attended regularly attended to the courses. Also in this case, we can see some significant differences regarding the different disciplinary fields. Also because in some courses it is quite impossible to finish the studies if we don't attend to the courses. We can see 60 points of difference between the minimum and the maximum points in the fields. Let's talk about the job during the studies. we always talk about people who don't work, but there are also some young people who both work and study. Among the pre-reform 2004 graduates, we can see an amount of 7% of worker students. It means graduates who stated to have worked constantly for at least half of the time of the studies, of the university studies. So more workers than students. On the contrary, the students workers, it means those who work but not so constantly and intensively, so more students than workers. The percentages have slightly decreased. They were increased in the course of the last decade, also due to the entrance of adults in the university system. But then it decreased for the termination of this process. But also the amount of students who also work, not constantly and intensively, decrease also for problems linked to the economic crisis. Working during the university studies is positive if we consider the advance of the contact with the labor market, but it has also some negative effects. We can see them in this slide. We can see some differences, some significant differences regarding the attendance to the courses, depending of work. The worker students don't attend too much courses, while those who can permit to not work attend more the university lessons. Let's talk about internships. Among the pre-reform 2004 graduates, just one newly graduate out of 5 attended a traineeship. With the new 3+2 system, the traineeship entered in the education program, so there have been a great increase, and the majority of students can have had the possibility to attend a traineeship. In the first level, this figure is quite high, but also in the specialist degrees, if we consider also people who did an internship during the last 2 years, we reached 72%. It means almost 1 student out of 4. The internship, in the majority of cases, is outside the university, so within the world of work. Also, in this case, we can notice significant differences among the disciplinary fields. The internship is quite spread in the agriculture or teaching fields, and not so spread in the legal and economical statistical field, and so on. More than 50% of difference between the minimum and maximum fields. It is useful for who are interested to go on the AlmaLaurea website and to analyze all the data interesting for their context and their situation. Also, within the same disciplinary group, some significant differences can exist. The group of medicine and health profession has a great incidence of traineeship, but some university has 79% of graduates with a traineeship experience, and others with 96% of students who did some traineeships. Let's talk about the economical statistical group, which is quite weak from this point of view. But we have some university with more than 80% with students who attended an internship, and other university with less than 20% of students. So the averages and the results can hide some significant differences. Let's talk about the topic of the study abroad. It was not so much spread among the 2004 graduates, but this figure keeps being quite the same also in the 2012 graduates. The only positive aspect regards the specialist degrees graduates. If we consider also the studies abroad during the first 3 years, they amounted to 18%. If we consider also the studies abroad not with the European program, for example, with overseas program or private studies abroad. Just this group of students is close to the target of the European target of 30% of the students to study abroad. Let's talk about the satisfaction for the university experience. We have some data. We can see the total satisfaction of the educational path, which was already quite high in the pre-reform graduates, and the data keeps being quite the same also among the 2012 graduates. We can see the total satisfaction for the educational path. If you see on the website, you will find some data regarding the satisfaction with the relationships with students, professors, for the library, and so on. We don't have time to present them here. So the satisfaction is quite 90%. Another index always used by AlmaLaurea in order to analyze the most practical terms of the satisfaction, Professor Cammelli talked about it before, is to ask if you could come back, you would like to do the same choice or not. And if you see the last column, almost 7 students out of 10 are absolutely satisfied, and they stated that they would do exactly the same choice. But more than 3 out of 10 give some other answers. In particular, 1 graduate out of 5 would change the university. 1 out of 6 would change the degree course, and 7% would change both things. So we have to consider all the considerations regarding the possibility to give power to orientation. Those graduates managed to graduate. They didn't drop out university, but they confirmed that maybe they made some mistakes. Let's consider also these 25% of medicine 5-year master's degree graduates that they would change university. And that can be linked also to the change of the university system. Let's talk about the intention to continue with the training. This is one of the aspects which is often criticized by those who say that the new graduates, the 3 years graduates, are inclined to go on with studies. But among the pre-reform graduates, the majority wanted to go on with studies after having completed a program of 4, 5, 6 years. Among the first level graduates, the intention is quite high. Among the specialist degree graduates, the amount is lower. And the 2 last are the categories with have a qualification which is equal to the pre-reform qualification. Can we ask to ourselves, this intention is motivated by what? By the weakness of the labor market, or because we fear that the labor market could not give full value to the qualification, or for other motivations? We can see that the answer is given by both aspects. If we talk about the first level graduates, 76% would like to go on, but not everybody in the specialist degree, which is 61%. The rest would like to go on with other educational paths, for example, the master's programs. Among the second level degrees, the intention to go on is spread on different categories. 1 out of 4 would like to attend a specialization school. For example, for some of them is quite compulsory to do that. For example, medicine students. 1 out of students who wants to go on would like to attend an internship, a training, and it is also quite compulsory, for example, lawyers or psychologists and so on. Another student out of 4 would like to go on with a quite light program, it means master programs, and then another 1 out of 4 with postgraduate studies. It is quite compulsory for those who wants to keep being within the academic process. Even though it is not so easy to enter these schools. Let's talk about, again, to the weakness of the labor market. We can see that among graduates coming by the south part of Italy, there is a proneness to go on with the training, both for first and second level universities. Let's talk about the search for work. Which are the aspects, the relevant aspects considered while the students look for a job? You can see the ranking of the aspects. The most important aspects for the graduates are the acquisition of professionalism and the steadiness of the job, the matter of free time, and the closeness to cultural interests are quite weak, as well as the autonomy on the workplace. I think that the most interesting thing is to notice that the profile of the importance of these aspects have changed during time. for example, the steadiness of the job increased by 10% from 2004 to 2012. So the newly graduates are more scared if compared with their 2004 colleagues. It's not a surprise, while the acquisition of professionalism, which is the most important aspect, but anyway, it's important, has decreased in the last decade. The graduates have been asked to give their willingness to sign some different contracts, and we saw that graduates are forced to be more flexible and to be disposed to accept not perfect works, because the willingness for a part-time job has increased by 5%. And of course, this makes us think that they don't want to find a less engaged job, but it is just the need to find a job, even though it is not full-time. And also the willingness to accept temporary work has been increased as well by 7%, while the only aspect which has decreased is the willingness to work on internship or traineeship. Of course, it is not a surprise, because most of the students had already attended a traineeship and don't want to go on with this type of work. Let's talk to the willingness to work abroad. We can notice a quite significant progression during time, from 34 to 45%, with some differences regarding the disciplinary fields. For example, among linguistic graduates, architecture, engineering students, while some other disciplinary fields are lacking, such as psychologists, health professions, legal professions, and teaching. We can ask ourselves if this willingness comes from passion or it is forced. It is quite compulsory due to the difficulties of the national labor market. Finally, let's talk about some scenarios for the Italian university for the future. Professor Cammelli already talked about that, about the decrease of 19-year-old students. And this decrease is maybe stopping in the following years. And there will be a more and more bigger incidence of that students coming by other countries of the world. And maybe there will be some young people who will not go to some high school which lead to university. And so these problems will be worse, and the capacity of the country to give full value to students will be worse. The number of enrolled students have decreased during time, all above for the demographic situations. And on the contrary, the number of graduations has increased, and we talk about graduations and not graduates, because some graduates can have 2 degrees. But the years of training, the years completed by students, have a less decrease. Let's talk now about the incidence of the 25-34 year population with postgraduate, post-high school qualification. The position of Italy is relatively low from this point of view. We could talk about this situation, but now let's talk about the number of qualified with a university qualification. And you can see that the 2 columns, the 2 colors are quite the same. The possibility of study in university is quite the same of the high school qualification, while in some other countries, let's see the OECD average, there are some differences, and Italy lacks this difference. I would like to conclude by saying that we should deal with so many topics. I didn't have the time to deal with them. There are many challenges suggested by these data we analyzed, such as the social origins, the guidance question matters, the gender disequalities, which are quite strong, the heterogeneity regarding the disciplinary fields or the university, the opportunity of study for adult people, the training given by universities, and above all, a topic that cannot be seen through this data, the quality of didactics, which will be the object of the following presentations. So, to conclude, really thank to all the AlmaLaurea staff. Thank you.
Scusate, volevo soltanto aggiungere una considerazione importante.
I'd like to add that all data for every university and course is now available online. So every one of you, any university, can go online and check the website. You can find all the data for every university, course, and even any differences you want to know. Thank you. Thank you to Professor Gasperoni and Cammelli for this information. I'd like to give the floor now for his presentation. My friend Stefano Fantoni, President of the National Assessment Agency for University System. I think there is no need to present him. He's a really famous physician. He was a president of the Deans, and he takes part to the Italian UNESCO Commission.
Intanto volevo iniziare.
Good morning. Before starting, I'd like to thank my friend, the Dean and AlmaLaurea organization because they invited us to this important meeting. I'd like to say also that I want to thank Giovanni Puglisi for saying that my presentation is not really a report, but it is just a presentation because we do not have results to present. We will have them in a bit, but not today. So my intervention will be a simple presentation, and I will give you also information on what we are working on at the moment, and I will focus on education and teaching. Before starting with my presentation, my slides, well, before showing them, I'd like to link back to what has been said before from my colleagues. I like to say that the idea of our work in our project, Anvur, is working on the same path. I help in the universities to create a better educational system, the same Giovanni Puglisi was talking about in his presentation before, and we will try to make the system more efficient, so students will be more aware of what they are going to choose. This is the aim, our aim. This aim is linked to many factors and variables, which are the ones that will make us able to create a really high training, which is the best step to enter the working class and the labor market. Well, this training must be open to everyone, regardless to the economical and regional level and even origin. Okay, so universities must be open in this point of view. So I'm linking now to what Cameli was saying before. So the situation is not really bad as I thought before. Anyway, this is the starting point for what we are now working on. So let me start with my presentation. This is my slide. I'd like to begin with news. What are we doing now? It is important for you to know what's the state of the art of the assessment, so you can imagine possible collaboration and links. well, these will be available in university data. As well, we will now, in a few moments, give you the data. The 16th of July, we will give you the data, the results of our work. It is a really complex and difficult work we have ever done in the assessment international contest framework. It is something that does not only assess the excellence of research as we did before, but the average quality of universities. We do aim to excellence, and especially me, with my past, I could not deny so. But our aim is actually, as Polisi said before, is increasing the average. The average. So this work is really complex and involved the assessment of more than 200,000 products. We started 2 years ago, and it's now finished. We are now analyzing the very last data, but you will have all of them on the 16th of July, divided for every faculty and university and deans. We involved a great number of panelists, almost 500, and this shows and certifies a will of the university system to undergo this evaluation and adjust to the results, which is this is really notable. The panelists and all the university that gave the data created a really great work that was hard to do, but is now concluded. So the assessment of research is now finished, and you will have the data on the 16th of July. Tomorrow, the assessment will start. We have here in the public the coordinator. Tomorrow we will start to analyze, to evaluate the accreditation of the new courses tomorrow, and we will see how many of these courses will be accredited. At the same time, the history of the PhD started the PhD history is really recent. I will talk about that at the end, but it is still going on. We started experimenting the outcome learning in 12 universities, and the first test started already. So our team, our team, well, is more compared to AlmaLaurea team, but the quality I think is the same. Well, now I will talk about teaching. I would like to start talking about the principles that inspire our team and how we wanted to work, even if we did not complete our work. The inspiration comes from teaching and research, first, because we are convinced that training at university cannot be divided from teaching professionalism and expertise of people teaching. These factors must be all present in a university. We are now analyzing the teaching part, remembering that a good professor at university must be a good researcher. Autonomy, responsibility and assessment is like a slogan for us. The president of CRUIS says that every time, and also the former Minister Profumo, and even the Minister Gelmini. So it is a slogan for us, and I believe we still have to do some work to reach all these three factors. But it is our aim that will lead to do a perfect job. Experimentation, especially in the transitory phase, and transparency in the evaluation process. This is a rule that has been given to us. We would like to experiment more, but the transitory phase are really too short. So we have to do that work quickly, and transparency in the evaluation process. We try to do so making the university aware of what we are studying and listening to positive feedback that we receive. So positive feedback. So we try to avoid criticism. Okay, so we just consider positive suggestions. Bureaucracy, simplification. So, our aim is to make everything simpler, to avoid bureaucracy as much as possible. Even if our team is really young, but we believe in our principles. So this is a start for us, but we will try to do our best to simplify everything which is extra and can be avoided. As for simplification, Also, the blue line are for me an example of our assessment activity, which is first accreditation, periodical and initial accreditation of the courses and the locations, and then an assessment of the quality, which must be coherent with what has been agreed at a European level. So the guidelines of the countries of the European area about in education. If we look to these points separately, they do not make much sense, but you have to link them together. So the aim will be one, and it is based on assessment. Initial accreditation. I will give you an insight now, but you will have more details later during the round table. Professor Castagnaro, which is responsible of that, and Ribotti también will give us, will be able to answer to any questions, even to technical questions. So we have initial accreditation, which is the one that we will start tomorrow. Every location and every course of studies will have to undergo an initial accreditation through the presentation of the so-called SUA CDS. So we will assess the first activation courses, which are among 100 and 150. We will evaluate the minimal criteria, and then a quality exam, which is carried out by a commission of experts in assessment, and then courses which are already activated, which are around 4,200. And in this first phase, they will be assessed only for the minimal criteria. So this is the job we will have to do during the following 2 to 3 weeks. The times are really short to do this work, but we cannot do anything about that because we have to do that quickly. The minister has to sign, and we do not have any choice. The periodical accreditation will follow in the future, starting from October 2013 on until April 2014. So every course will have to undergo a periodical accreditation, which is a check if they have the criteria they should, and then we will check if they have specific if they have the requirements they need, and this will be done only using samples, and then we will visit universities directly on the location, We will visit every university. It will be hard, but we will have to do so, around 20 universities per year. And then we will talk about the assurance of the quality of the university. So this will be a tool for the improvement of the quality of the academic activities, and that will involve administrative and teaching staff. So we will give them tools to correct the plan if it is not appropriate or adequate. For this training activity, we will involve the government body of the university, the assessment and evaluation area, and the commissions of students and professors. Now you can see a scheme of what I was talking before, how the assessment will be structured. So a presidium of quality through the didactic structures and the departments. So this is the scheme of our work. This will give the university some work to do. They will have to create structures that did not exist before, or they were partially existent. Maybe some university had that, others don't, but they will have to do so anyway. To sum up, the Presidium of Quality of the University, which is a body that promotes quality, culture, and the culture of quality in the university. It builds processes for assessment of quality. It guarantees the ability of an improvement. It guarantees the improvement of the courses, and it also has the responsibility of the assessment, the actual operations of the assessment. Visits at the location. The assessment will be basically on desk, which is an analysis of the documents, an assessment of the training demand, economic and financial sustainability of the university, the requirement of the professors, remembering that universities which have a sustainability which is lower than others for starting creating a new course, as you know, they must maintain the same number of courses. Something which is now we are working on now is the organization of these committees, experts of assessment. They are different experts. They are experts in systems, on the different courses, or they are even students or telematic experts. So the idea is to create a group of experts which are certified, and the procedure of the certification is now something we are working on. We started to create a training for the evaluation of these courses. But we are aware that this type of certification and training must be more accurate. It must be similar to other European universities. We do not want to be less precise. So this is the framework, a really summed up framework of the AVA system. This has been working for a long time, but we are still improving it. I'd like to conclude my presentation on talking about the PhD, which is a new entry because the decree is started in the 21st of May, so it's really recent. We have to be compliant with the decree, and so we have to start to accredit around 50% of the PhD courses that are proposed. But we think it is impossible for us because the activities we are now working on are really something which is taking all of our attention at the moment and in the future. And also, well, we worked hard for some missions we can say were impossible, but anyway, we are trying to follow the well, we decided not to accreditate PhD courses, so we will not accreditate them because it would be a job which is not useful. But what we did already, and you know, is the issue of guidelines for the assessment area. These guidelines will give will provide a procedure that has to be followed. That will approach us to the next year. What will happen after these courses? We will analyze a sample, a couple of them, maybe one course for each university in every area, and we will study them and analyze them. Because we want to study in the detail the structure of the PhD courses, and we want to use this experience to create an assessment value for the PhD, so it will you can start working next year. But the minister already knows so. So, as we did for the other evaluations, the construction of this AVA model for PhD, which has to be made within 2013, we hope to receive suggestions and something that we can really do. Now I'd like to say one more thing. On the first phase, there is a complete autonomy for the university. I hope they will be able to follow our guidelines, and I hope the proposal of a PhD course will be taken into consideration. Obviously, the PhD courses must not be too specific, okay, as we have seen before, but no too generic. Okay. So I hope there is a sense of responsibility coming from the university, and they will make the right choices, and we will correct it if necessary next year when it will be analyzed in detail. To end my presentation, I'd like to thank warmly the chance that has been given me to talk today to this conference. Because the results that AlmaLaurea showed are important and must be analyzed. I also think they give us a scheme that will help us to understand what we'll have to do later in our job. Even if the situation in general is not bright, well, anyway, I think the process that universities started, I want to say that they started an assessment of which has consequences. I think the assessment can make us more optimistic. Also, we have to listen the pain coming from our our students. I cannot talk only about technical problems and aspects, because something we have to focus on is also people in our students, which are now suffering and losing their sense of the meaning of training, of education, the importance of university. I think, and Giovanni, you think the same probably, and you heard youngs saying not that they earn too little, but how much the country thinks about them. The country does not think about young people. The country wants to grow, but if it wants to do so, it has to put in youngs in the first place. If we want to create a new managerial class, well, it has to start from education and university, and it cannot be done if we do not have finance structures, etc. So it must be a priority for our country. Otherwise, the situation will be irreversible. You all know that there have been periods in history which were terrible, and they can come back. So I call upon the university people, and I hope they have a sense of responsibility.
L'abbattimento di certi privilegi, di certe posizioni che ci siamo maturati e ci siamo guadagnate. Vabbè, così è, però non è il nostro destino a cui stiamo pensando.
We have to think about the future of our young people. Otherwise, our horizon will be too limited. I'll excuse my this. Thank you.
Credo di interpretare il sentimento di tutti.
I think that all of us think the same, and we all want to thank him, Professor Fantoni. And by thanking him, I would like to do two considerations. The first one is given by him, talking about the coming back. We cannot come back, but please pay attention to this, because we cannot go on by introducing some mechanisms which could determine coming back without being aware of this. I want to underline that because I think that in this country the culture of assessment doesn't exist, and the mistake that you avoided is to misunderstood the quantity and the quality of assessment. You were talking about minimum requirements and quality assessment. I think that we should work all together, but also the country and also the education system should work on it. We all together should work in order to pave the way to an education culture which has to be based on the honesty of every process and also of educational process. The topic of necessary requirements is important, and it is right, it is crucial, but I would like it to be a transitory topic up to determine moral awareness, so that it will be not to think that some risk operations will starting. And these operations keeps being there, keeps existing. So from this point of view, I think that the ideal thing should be to come to a system in which the assessment was based on the results by the research, by the didactics, and that the country has an incredible tool. If you manage to create a system like this, you will be able to favor and to promote the tool of the legal acknowledgement of the educational qualification. I'm not supporting the legal value anymore. I think that the market situation have concluded this aspect, but I think that maybe this aspect could be the ideal requirement to assess the educational qualification. I think that it could lead us to a leap, to a progress in the whole of the university system. We are in a private university, so I have the luck to work with famous experts of assessment, and I want to highlight that in the private universities, it doesn't have so many advantages. It doesn't have any discount. It only requires a great attention, because it is an underestimated process if compared with its consistency in the whole university system, and it is underestimated also by the country, because private universities have underwent to many cuts, more than state universities. And despite all of that, private universities are concluding research in which, through which we will be able to analyze the relationship from every point of view, economic, financial, human commitment, which the private university system gives to this country with objective data. You will be really surprised, really astonished to see that analysis. So I think that from this point of view, it is necessary. I would not modify anything of what you said, but we have to be clear that we have to work on a middle, long-term vision, avoiding that the assessment system would become something like a deterrent for smart people, who will become smarter and smarter. So please pay attention to this point of view. I want to greet the president of the Conference of Universities Rector, Professor Mancini, who is committed with the minister, sent me a message. Here we have our vice president, so he didn't manage to be here, and he asked me to express his thanks to Professor Cammelli, to President of Anvur and CUM, and on behalf of the Conference of Rectors, in this dimension of attention of education systems, both in terms of assessment quality and of assessment of results in the enterprise systems. So with this conclusion, CRUI is here today. I just want to say that I'm going away and I'm richer than before. I have so many more ideas to influence the school and the university at a regional level. My friends Rocca and Oliva would say that many numbers have to change. Also, if we consider all the data given by AlmaLaurea, and I would like to, according to the consideration of Rector Puglisi, I would like to encourage the work by Hamburg, and I'm really satisfied because the culture of assessment is not present in our country. Let's think about 2001. It was more difficult than now. We waited too much, and if now in 2013 we say those things, that maybe some so-called smart people are organizing in order not to be involved by a good assessment, so it is a negative thing, not only considering the numbers but also the behaviors. I would like to be more optimistic, also because my region allows me to be a little more optimistic, and I would say that we will manage to do it. And with this data, with these structures, and with all these people, I would like to say hello to my friend Lenzi, president of CUN, a National University Council, which maybe started before all of us to work, and it keeps being here, it keeps existing. We met so many times in many conventions. Now I am a council member, but the attention for the National University Council and all the associations and universities at national level, and also considering all the analyzing tools, my attention is really high, and it couldn't be different from it, because all the challenges are more and more stronger. I say hello to all my friends, colleagues, and professors of the present universities. La CRU exists. Region Lombardy exists, so please exploit us, and thank you.
Non accompagno
Valentina Prea. I thank you, Valentina Prea, for what she said and for the support she's given us in this situation. I ask Professor Chiesi of University Milano and Davide Cristofori to present the relation about the university experience of the graduated in technical and professional teaching. Thank you. We are slightly delayed. Good morning, everybody. In this contribution, then there will be the one of Professor Chiesi. We will analyze the most important aspect of the university experience of the degree confronted with university aspiration of those possessing a college degree. We will talk about disciplinary group, some of the features of the graduated in the three groups that have been examined, and then we will consider the effect on the type of graduation on the university success. The reference population refers to 2012, more than 220,000 that are divided. 63% have a college degree, prevailing is scientific and technical commercial degree. Only 3% have a professional degree. Then the magisterial teaching, and then the artistic instruction teaching. If we compare the composition of group of graduated with those 2008, we can see how that the population of graduated is a very selectioned population in terms of kind of degree. If they were 53%, now are 63% of the graduated, so they are overrepresented. But they underrepresented are the technical degree and the professional one, from 16 to 3%. Now we can see the distribution and composition for kind of degree, where we can note how the importance of professional techniques reduces itself by passing from the first level to the second level of the master to unique cycle, where they are only the 6%. They have less propension to enroll in law, medicine, surgery, architecture, and chemistry. From now on, all the analysis will focus on the complex of graduated, because we didn't spot strong differences. Kind of degree have a determining influence of the disciplinary group university. In this slide, we will see for each group which are the first three groups of graduation. As we can see, in 2012, the degree with a college degree are graduated in engineering, economic, statistics, and literary. We wanted to confront this distribution by group with the group selected at the entrance of university. We considered the group 2007-2008, and we consider which were the first three groups of graduation. We will confront the arrival group, the final group, the one that graduated. There is a good correspondence between both groups, apart from the law group, which ranked second in the start group, and this is due because many people that enrolled here chose other routes and changed the course. If we consider the technical population, 1 graduated out of 4 graduated in a group in statistics, economical, then engineering, and social and political group. So there is a perfect correspondence with the initial group. As regards professional, 1 out of 5 got graduated in one health jobs, then social, political, and statistic, economical. Also in this case, there is a perfect correspondence between the two groups. The gender has a strong influence, apart from the kind of degree, on the choice of the university group that is selected. In each of the three groups, we are talking about college, the composition by matter, male and female, and we will directly confront them between the one selected by male and female. In this slide, we can see that out in 100, 24% choose engineering, 15% in statistical economic, and 9% in social politician. As regards female, the groups in which the more significant gender differences are, engineering and statistical economics are the most chosen by male, and female choose health, education, and we are referring ourselves to classification of disciplinary group chosen by ISTAT. So inside each group there could be differences according to the different disciplines. In the technical population, in the gender differences, engineering and economic statistics are prevailing chosen by male, and also architecture, while female prefer psychological, linguistical, and economical and statistics, which are female group, apart from the kind of original degree. As regards professional, the first three groups, health, social, political, statistic, economical, are equally balanced, chosen by both groups, while the strong differences are in the agrarian and engineering and also teaching psychological and linguistic group. The features of some graduated living from the pre-universitarian characteristic. As regards the mark of the degree, we didn't want to report the absolute degree mark. We consider 2005-2008 graduated in Italy. And we divided into 4 groups, equivalent groups, the degree. 25% correspond to high mark, that is to say, the one that belong to the first quarter of the ranking of mark in the ratio degree and region. If we consider the classification on graduated in 2012, 37% comes from high mark. This means that the graduated population is selected above all by mark performance and pre-university performance, and this is stronger if you consider the professional techniques that come more than other from high mark and are the most selected among the groups. We should take into consideration all this when we will examine the differences into university performances. The success of university studies, careers, technical professional graduated are longer than the one of college graduated. Techniques are more than 28 and professional are 29%. But we can see that differences in average age are due to the delay in enrollment that is higher in professional techniques. This means that professional and techniques graduated lately because enrolled later, and this is due less regular pre-university careers, a less presence on the world job market. Professional techniques, again, are less regular than the graduated coming from college. This is presentation consider the in-course graduated different presence of these three groups in the job market as an incidence. As Professor Chiesi will say later, the percentage of worker and students in technical and professional is higher than the one coming from colleagues coming from colleges. As regards the mark in graduation, these are in favor of colleges than professional and technical schools. As regards the study condition, the participation in abroad of European Union programs, these are more widespread in college students than in technical professional one, but technical professional come from a less lowest, humblest social condition. As Professor Chiesi will say later, the percentage of those having a parents graduated are less than in professional techniques than in colleges. Again, in this case, technical and professional can use the scholarship because of their social disadvantages. As we can see, complexity satisfaction for the study course, there are no great differences in terms of satisfaction if you analyze the complexity, the global satisfaction. All these values are around 90% with not many differences. As regards study perspective, we distinguish the first level and second level graduated. We will examine only the one of the first group for reason of time. The intention of going on with formation is more widespread in college graduated than in technical professional. This is due to a stronger propension of the students to go on with the master. It is interesting to note that among professionals is higher the propension to go on with their formation with a master or a perfection in course. As regards the job perspective, it is interesting to note that professionals think it's more important to every aspect here examined, apart from the possibility of career that is more relevant for technical graduated. As regards the coherence with studies, professional gives more importance to the coherence with the studies and also to the respondents to cultural interest. But the professional graduated are the most motivated, are the ones that complete their career and are aware of the importance of their qualification for their work. Last but not least, we consider the effect of the kind of degree on the mark, the average examination mark, and the delay in graduating. Through a model of linear regression, we eliminated all the variables that have an influence on the average examination note with an equal gender qualification of the study of the parents. There are these effects. if these variables are equal when they end their university studies, the college degree, they have 1.5 points more with respect to the technical and professional one. If we propose the same model on the other part, that is to say the delay in graduating, explained in months for years, of course. The college graduated, obtained their title with more than 1 month before the professional techniques degree. As regards the work during studies, the effect does not change, but is only already mentioned.
I would like to dwell in on a specific aspects which highlight the importance of attention we did more generally to technical and professional graduates. Basically, I would like to start from the reflection that it is true that graduates are slightly increasing, but we saw in the recent years to a decrease of enrollment, and the difference has been given by higher effectiveness of the university system in reducing the dropouts. But the important thing is that the decrease of enrollment, which of course is contradictory with the European objectives of human capital development. So this is the data which are emerging according to the type of high school diplomas. We notice an increase from 2003 to today, an increase of enrollments coming from high schools, but a strong decrease of the enrollment coming from technical and professional institutes. This decrease is partly due to demographic factors. It means that the high school graduated decreased in general, and so those who can access university are, of course, less. But if we notice the rate of shift of high school graduates to university, with the official data from the minister, we can see that those rates are decreasing, both concerning technical institutes and professional institutes, except the last year taken into consideration, it means 2008, we can see a decrease and then a recover of the college graduates. These are official data, but as Cammelli was saying in his presentation, official data are, of course, accurate, but they risk to be old, to be not in time. So the advantage to be based on AlmaLaurea data, it allows us to have prompt and in-time data to be analyzed. So if this decrease of enrollment exists, this is mainly due to technical institutes graduates and professional institutes graduates who didn't choose to enroll in university. The possible answer is that with the economic crisis, it is possible that families decided not to invest so much in the progression of study if the university doesn't provide the previous requirements to find a job. This hypothesis is contradicted by the fact that the decrease doesn't correspond to the economic crisis started in 2008. It begins more before the start of the crisis. Maybe this is due to the question of occupability. Taking into consideration a slide of Cammelli of some months ago in Venice, the condition of the labor market awards graduates and not high school graduates. 77% of graduates and 64% of high school graduates, and the compensation of graduates for 2008, before crisis, is 50% higher than the compensation for high school graduates. With some recent data, we talk about Excelsior project data, the confrontation between before and after the crisis. Before the crisis, basically enterprises wanted about 520,000 high school graduates, and after the crisis we have a decrease of 45.7%. Regarding the graduates, the decrease is a little less. It is by 39.1%. So it's better to graduate, and there is another reason to graduate a university. It means the aspects of net compensation. These are data which are updated, and they come from AlmaLaurea and also from Alma Diploma. This is a database which doesn't yet cover all the Italian reality, but it is rapidly growing. So we can expect from these data from AlmaLaurea an overview, a more and more precise overview of the Italian situation. So confronting the compensations, we were talking that graduates are not so much paid, are badly paid. In a year after the graduation, it is about 1,000 euros. But a high school graduate has a difference of more than 60%. So in 3-5 years after the graduation, we can expect, even though there are different people, we can expect a development of career which leads to an increase of compensation, which is quite consistent and which doesn't involve some disadvantages linked to the graduation. On the contrary. So the levels of development are not consistent with the choice of technical professional institutes not to enroll to university. We should analyze the school career of these young people and to wonder which are the choices and the alternatives school, university, which they can address to. The available literature sustains that the choice between professional and high school, college studies refer to the social origin of the parents. As this morning has been demonstrated, the qualification of parents is important in defining the student's career, not only at a university level, but also before. And the social origin is important, and it influences the life condition in the adulthood. All above, if the school system imposes some precise choices regarding some crossroads between study and work. We have a simplified scheme. It entails that 6 different stages exist in which the young can choose whether to go on to study or to go to work. The reality is that with the university reform, this scheme has been really more complex, with many types of degree courses. So there are many phases more. But what we find, especially in the high school graduates coming from technical professional institutes, is a temptation and is an attempt to combine experiences of study and of work. And here we can see that in general we don't have a dichotomy between study and work. The relationship between study and work in 4 years after the graduation show us 28% of workers and 6.8% who work and look for a study process, 33% of students, and then we have a notable percentage of those who combine study and a job. So please notice these aspects, which are more characteristics in the technical professional high school graduates. The work experiences are more present among technical professional high school graduates. The constant work during the period of diploma is more frequent in this group, as well as the school organization. They study less at home with respect to college graduates, and they do more internships. Regarding the university career, the students coming from technical professional institutions have greater work experience, and they declare a work which is more consistent with their studies. We think that the social origin is important in explaining all these differences. Professor Cristofori already highlighted that there is a difference regarding the social origins, both for the profession of parents and their qualifications. This difference coming from the social origin has a great role starting from the primary education. These data show that the optimus, the excellent vote, depends on the qualifications of the parents. It doesn't depend on the social class. It means that the compulsory school accounts for a result of equality. And then there is another factor, which is that of the gender, that will be present for all the future university school career. And this element is so important that it should analyzed in detail. The factor that influence the probability to enroll to high school, to college, and not to technical and professional institutes are the social class, the qualification of parents. The gender is important, but also the results of the middle school exam, final exam, is important. So some structural and social factors exist, but they are combined also with some opportunity and encouragement signs that the school system itself gives. So we can conclude that with the fact that the university system and their results actually have some deep roots, and they come from the result of the middle school final exams. In order to fight the decrease of enrollment by technical and professional high school graduates, we have to analyze all the school process. In this way, we are not so atypical with respect to the European objective to have 40% of graduates between 40 and 30 here, which have been reached by 13 of the member countries.
Antonio Chiesi e Davide
Cristofori. Antonio Chiesi and Cristofori for their good presentation. Now, everyone to the 6th floor to it rapidly, because we will resume the works at 2 hours and a half with the Carlo Filippini and Francesco Figari intervention coming from Isobra. Now we will see